I think the big difference recently has just been tools and tech. So, whether it's some of these engagement tools or things that can basically transcribe website visitors into target account lists. So, in my opinion, that's really the biggest change has just been the tech adoption, which has really made the job for BDRs a lot easier. In the past, it was about finding the right accounts. Now it's using all of that noise to determine which accounts are the best to reach out to, which in a way is, the same challenge. I think for starters, most people do it remotely now. So that's been different, especially since when I started, just finding ways to transition people from in office to coaching remotely, training remotely, enabling people remotely. And I think that was kind of probably 2020 to 2022. It feels like the last couple of years or so, a lot of the talk has been around, intent, signals, inbound led outbound, which I think is really just about trying to find ways to make cold accounts warm, which really, in my opinion, top reps have been doing that for a while now, whether it's Salesforce reporting, looking at Pardot activity, website visitors, just anything that you can do to try and take a cold conversation and interpret things that will, help get your foot in the door a little bit easier. I think the big difference recently has just been tools and tech. So, whether it's some of these engagement tools or things that can basically transcribe website visitors into target account lists. So in my opinion, that's really the biggest change has just been the tech adoption, which has really made the job for BDRs a lot easier. In the past, it was about finding the right accounts. Now it's using all of that noise to determine which accounts are the best to reach out to, which in a way is, the same challenge. I think the three that come to mind first are probably the number of accounts you're working or contacts touched. Number two would be conversations. And then, number three is meetings. And then kind of further down the funnel, you got qualified meetings, revenue, pipeline, all of that. But to me, the first three are probably where I would start. And I would really start with conversations. I found that just through hiring people, if someone's not able to have conversations in the first month or two, doing the job, then oftentimes it's not really something where they're not able to. It's that a lot of times they don't want to. Cold outreach can be tough. It's intimidating. So I think that's one of the challenges is if you have someone that is really struggling to, get people on the phone, it's like, are they really trying? Are they calling people hoping that, no one is going to answer? They're just trying to hit activity metrics, or are they really working to be efficient and effective? So to me, conversations is always one of the first things I look for. I think it's probably one of the biggest leading indicators for additional things like meetings and pipeline and revenue. So getting people on the phone, getting people to reply to email, really whatever it is that is your strong suit, lean into that, but you got to be talking to other prospects. I think the first is, especially since people, aren't necessarily sitting on the sales floor, which in some ways can be more intimidating, but there's certainly benefits just hearing how others position the product and handle certain objections, is just creating an environment where, you spend time listening to each other's calls. I've always thought that if I were to play a call that you've had with a prospect, like half the time you're going to take 60, 70% of the feedback that I give you and you'll pick up on it yourself. But it's just being intentional about creating the time to actually go through and provide feedback on those calls. And then I think the second thing is just reviewing, who are you contacting? So looking at target account lists, little things like that still work, finding email or finding phone numbers and email signatures, using multiple data tools, not calling the same number multiple times, like making sure that the data that you're looking at is, I guess, clean to an extent. But to me, I think coaching is the best way to build confidence. So if you have someone that's struggling to generate conversations, especially on the phone, I would probably start. The good thing is there's so many options. Myself, I went SDR, AE briefly, and then into management. But in leading SDRs, I've had people go to customer success. I've had people go to marketing. I've had people go AE, sales engineer. I mean, there's literally, I think, multiple different ways that you can go. I initially kind of got out of sales development because I thought a lot of the relationships were very transactional, and I wanted something. People oftentimes will say they get into sales because they want to help people. And I think as an SDR, you don't always get that gratification because it's more of a flipper, as a lot of organizations do it. So I think the biggest thing is like, there's really no wrong route. I've heard some people that I think will go the AE route. Others, I often get asked, like, should I get into management? What I would say to that is I went AE, got into management. I've seen other people go manager into AE. If you go the SDR route, you realize that sales isn't even for you, then, like I said, I promoted people into account management roles, CSM roles, like they've all been successful there. But I think the biggest thing is just, seeing what you like, seeing what you don't like, kind of carving that out from the role itself, and then chasing whatever that is. But I would say the most prominent paths I see are AE and SDR manager. And at some point, they oftentimes converge together. So I wouldn't get too caught up about, which one you decide to do first.